He was uncomfortable. He was irritated. He had a problem. And we had to find a solution. Our first thought was to shave him ourselves, but that proved to be a bit of a disaster.
Fluffy, one of my friend Jenny's cats, recently got some fur mats. Now this is not something that I had ever experienced before with one of my cats, and so I did some quick research which I think will help some of you that have cats with medium and long fur. My own cat, Mr. Muffin, falls into this category, and so I was particularly interested in preventing the problem. So what is matting really? It's just a tangle of fur that becomes so messy and tight that it's impossible to comb out. The tangle melds into a clump that then is just stuck to your cat. Now mats start small in most cats, and most cats can pull them out as they are grooming. But in some situations, a cat is not able to do that, and you will need to help it out. Mats can be painful and even dangerous to your cat's health because they can create sources of infection and constrict blood flow. But before delving into solutions, what causes mats, and is there a way to prevent them from the start? One of the reasons mats happen is that as the undercoat is shedded, it becomes tangled with the upper coat, and this is like a traffic jam of hairs. And as those tangles get increased, it becomes a clump that is impossible to comb out. So you will first see tangles and eventually mats in areas that have a lot of friction, like between their legs or under their chest. But mats can quickly spread to any part of your cat's body. There are some conditions that make the problem worse, and you should be on the lookout for them. First is long hair, for obvious reasons. Fine hairs are also more prone to tangling because the hairs are more flexible. Humidity can increase tangles. Shedding season is also a problem. Some skin conditions like dermatitis can change the texture of your cat's coat. Older cats and obese cats that cannot groom themselves as easily or everywhere are also more prone to getting tangles and mats. And lastly, cats that have mouth issues or teeth issues might have problems grooming themselves or hesitate to groom themselves. So in these situations, be particularly attentive and either comb out tangles or cut out small mats if you find them. Comb it from the outside in. Do not get the comb underneath the tangle and try to pull it all out at the same time. And once the tangle is out, brush out the undercoat to prevent tangling and matting in the future. Once a mat has formed, it's too late to comb it out. You will probably have to either cut it out or shave it. Make sure you use a blunt scissors, not one with the sharp points, because the last thing you want is for your cat to make a sudden jump and either stab itself or stab you in the process. Make sure that you can get your fingers around the whole of a small mat so that you are sure not to be cutting your cat's skin. There are horror stories out there about sloppy cat owners cutting their cat in the process because they weren't attentive enough. Now they make special combs and brushes with the teeth spread out to help you comb out tangles. And they make special sprays for detangling a cat's fur. Now I have not tried these sprays and so I can't vouch for them. If any of you have experience with them, please comment below. They also make special combs to reach the undercoat and help to get out some of that fur out, especially during shedding season. But remember to be super gentle with your cat, especially because their skin is probably irritated. You wouldn't like it if somebody pulled on your hair, and they don't either. Large mats will require shaving, and Jenny and I tried to shave Fluffy, but it soon became apparent that we had neither the skill nor the proper tools to do this job correctly.
You know what? I don't think we're going to be able to do this.
And so she took Fluffy to the groomer. It was not cheap to have him shaved, but in the end we were pleased with the result and think it was worth it. You will sometimes hear that a cat needs to be sedated or put under anesthesia in order to get shaved, but this is not the case for most cats. Now, if your cat is particularly anxious or particularly aggressive, it's possible that it might be required, but for the most part, it doesn't need to be done. Now, if you do take your cat to a groomer and have other cats, make sure to do a reintroduction slowly when you bring your cat back, because your cat will look different and might smell different. And cats are very sensitive to those things. They might get scared, they might not know who the strange cat is. And so with Fluffy, we put him in a separate room behind some curtains until he had reacquired the smell of the house, and then slowly let the other cats look at him and smell him so that they did not react in any negative way once they saw that he looked rather different. But in one way or the other, you have to get rid of the mats. Unattended mats can be dangerous. First of all, mats pull on the cat's skin, and so the skin becomes irritated. You can see here where Fluffy was shaved that some patches are more red than others. These patches can become very sensitive, they can become bruises, and eventually become ulcerated or sores. And then they are open wounds prone to infection, and you won't even know it because they're underneath the mat. Mats can also harbor parasites like ticks or fleas, especially if your cat goes outside. And they'll be sitting there feasting on your cat and you won't be aware of it. In the worst cases, mostly with older strays, a mat can constrict the blood flow to a limb, eventually requiring that limb to be amputated. So you should never ignore tangles or mats on your cat. Fluffy was given a lion cut, so he looks rather cute with it. But one thing that was interesting is because the tail was partly shaved, he had a problem with balance for several days after the shaving took place. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.